We've been absent for a little while. That's my fault, and I apologize, but it's good to be back.
Wow. Oh, I didn't expect that.
Candice and Casey's podcast. They're doing couples therapy.
I mean, it is your fault that we weren't recording the podcast, but I guess that's what you're apologizing for, right?
Yeah, I mean, fault is a little bit, one, I don't think it's healthy to attribute fault, but I don't think it was circumstance. I made the ultimate decision, but it was...
Yeah, I'm always game to record.
See, here's the thing. So we haven't recorded in 2 weeks because...
Also, if I breathe really heavy, it's because
Just breathe away from... No one wants to hear someone breathe. It's like hearing someone chew.
It's just that it's kind of like I'm not conscious of my breathing, but I can hear it in the microphone.
Yeah, so just don't do that. Okay. See, so we haven't posted a podcast in 3 weeks. And that was my decision ultimately, but I've been vlogging for so long and sharing my life and videos for so long that I've come to know when I'm full of shit and when I'm not. And my rule with the vlog, like the reason why I stopped vlogging family life is because I didn't like to have to shape my family life into something that was presentable. And so I just stopped that. So the things that I include in the vlog are the things that I feel like I've got control of. My work stuff, my running, my relationships with people that I work with, my friends, things like that. And this podcast is really at the behest of our marriage and relationship, which is a super, super volatile thing. And in the last couple of weeks, we've been in a unsavory place, or we've been in a place where I just wasn't comfortable sitting down here.
But you know what? I don't want you to make it sound like we haven't been getting along for weeks at a time. It's just that these arguments rear their heads like the day we're supposed to record, and we both know that it's just gonna either be annoying that I'm just whining and you're quiet and shut down. So this morning we talked about it. I think a big part of me calling you into the bedroom to talk about it was so that we could get through it and just record today.
Wait, you're seeking resolution in our real life marriage so we can do podcasts?
Well, does it matter the reason?
I'd like to thank all of our podcast listeners for promoting for helping me with a healthy marriage. No, I don't think it makes a difference.
No, it doesn't. The reason for making up shouldn't matter. It's just that you do. I mean, if we were going on a holiday together and the choice was don't talk for 5 days or force yourself to make up before you leave, that's kind of how I felt this morning. I was like, look, I can drag this out another day and then we don't get to have our alone time together.
By alone time, you mean podcasts that
I really
hundreds
enjoy
of thousands
it.
of people.
When we don't do the when maybe we've been so disconnected because we haven't done the podcast in so long. I don't get to talk to you.
All right, let me back up a little.
Back up. I don't know. I can't even breathe. I'm so big.
Candice is sitting here calm as the day, and she's completely out of breath as if she just ran a marathon. Poor thing. She's also, it looks like she has a beach ball underneath her stretched out t-shirt. Okay, so it goes like this. For me, what this podcast is, and it wasn't this vivid when we started, but it's become this, and it's part of the reason why I both love doing it and love sharing this, is it's Candice and I talking about aspects of our relationship that I feel like are universal, meaning things that other people have also dealt with in their lives. And we share them in a very honest way, and then we talk about how we work through them or struggle with them or whatever it may be. That's the elevator pitch for this podcast, and I think that that's a beautiful, wonderful thing that I'm very excited to be a part of. What I don't want this podcast to be is Candice and Casey fighting and arguing about our marriage in front of microphones. I think that that's like a little bit gossipy and gross, and I also think that's just not a healthy practice. And I will say as sort of an asterisk or a caveat to that, there has been 1 or 2 episodes where we did just like bicker.
I hated it.
Yeah, and we make our poor editor, John, who's amazing, hey John, have to like form and patty those into something that's shareable and it's compromised. And those are the ones that come out on Tuesday because it takes John 6 rounds of Candice telling him how to edit around us bickering. But I just won't do that. And when I think it's going to be that is when I'm like, fuck it, we're not recording this week until we have resolution in our real life marriage. Was that a fair?
Yeah,
That was
and
good?
then and that's totally fair. And then because I'm a woman, which now people are going to be like, no, don't blame it on being a woman. But because I'm a woman, then I'm like, take it so personally that you don't want to record, that it's like you're holding it over my head. You know how much I enjoy this. You know how important it is to me, but it's not that important to you. So you're going to like punish me by not just fucking cycle of.
It's none of those things.
No, I'm sure it's not.
It's because real life marriage is a much greater priority to me than this podcast.
And real life marriage is much dirtier than this. Like it's a dirty game sometimes that you can't.
I don't know that I'd choose dirty as the adjective there, Candice.
Sometimes people play dirty. It's dirty. It's nasty. No? Am I using the wrong words?
Contentious?
I don't know what that means.
You know what I want to talk about is, I want to say it was 2 weeks ago now, maybe a little bit less, a week and a half ago now. I didn't post a video for like almost a week, and I said I've been dealing with some personal things, and that's why I didn't post a video. And I never explained what those personal things are. So the short of it is that I went to California and for work, and I was there for all of about 8 hours before I got a call from Candice's mother, who was here helping out while I was in LA working, and Candice was in the hospital. And I dropped everything and I flew back from California to get here because she was in the hospital. And that was just sort of set off a cascade of kind of scary and not easy to work through things, both physically and then in our relationship and with Franny and with everything. And that's why I kind of turned off all work for a week until we figured that out. So we can unpack that if Candice wants to talk about that. But that was the reason why I stepped away from making videos. That was a very scary thing. And just like real life's more important than the podcast, real life's much more important than me making videos.
Yeah.
You okay?
Do you want to get into that? I don't know what.
No, I just never said that. Well, I also never explained why you were in the hospital. I'm not sure I really understand.
We don't really know why I was in the hospital either. Like, none of the tests have revealed anything. But there was something that sort of did come up over the last. There's a recurring thing in that, like, I feel right now very vulnerable, and like, of course, the weekend you went away, and that's like something we argue about all the time, is you going away. My mom's plane was canceled twice, so I didn't have any help. And then, of course, that weekend I get rushed to the hospital, and I'm in the hospital room alone with no husband, and I didn't know where you were, and like, you called once or twice, but I didn't answer the phone. I couldn't lift my head up off the pillow.
I called like 57 times.
Anyway, I was like passed out, like literally on a drip.
I was also on the phone with your mom.
Fine.
I know, I just want you painting me to be a bad guy.
Nobody told me any of that. So here I am thinking, my fucking husband is gone again, and this is what happened, and now I'm in the hospital and he's not here, and I'm here by myself, and they want me to stay by myself, and I'm like crying, and like, then you show up the next day.
5 a.m. It was the next.
Right, the next you and you had said I'm just not as fast as you get here, but you not once did you text me being like, I'm on my way back. I'll see you in 6 hours. Like nothing. You just showed up.
I know, but I was on the phone with your mom in real time, explaining everything to her.
But this is just like a communication thing, because then the next thing that happened was you going to that dinner or whatever, and you're like, I'll be home by 10, and then at 11:30 you're like, I'm at a dinner, and
honey, you're bickering. This is what you said you hate it when we do.
I know. So John will cut it all out.
No, don't cut that out, John. That's gold.
No, I'm trying to get. My brain isn't working right now.
Sharing a life with a woman who's 8 months pregnant, and when that woman's name is Candice Poole, is like sharing a life with someone who's permanently stoned.
I do feel
like.
stoned.
It's as if you took
like
a bong rip before you came downstairs.
I trip over everything.
Yeah, you speak in circles. You eat like every 5 minutes.
And I can hear myself talking, and I'm like, oh my God, everybody knows I'm stoned right now.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, you look around, you're like, I wonder if everybody else is stoned right now. You're like, you look at people and you're like, I wonder if they know.
Anyway, I do want to bring up, I think that I kind of have a good theme for today.
Before we get into that, can I ask a question?
What?
You did an interview with a weed-themed magazine yesterday while being 8 months pregnant. Is there any concerns about how that may impact your future Life and politics?
That interview at 8 months pregnant is not what's going to harm my future career in politics. I promise you that. There's plenty to work with.
I'm like sitting at my desk at our apartment working, and Candice is with these two journalists from a fantastic magazine called Gossamer. Gossamer, check it out, Gossamer. It's really, really great magazine, but it's sort of a weed lifestyle magazine.
It's not. It's a lifestyle magazine for people who also like weed. There's a distinction.
No, there is a distinction. You're absolutely right. Like this isn't High Times. It's much more like a lifestyle magazine. In any event, I hear her over there yapping about God knows what, and then I hear her taking a U-turn into talking about her life with weed. Like throw off my headphones and scream over there. I was like, do not use my name in this entire interview, Candice, please. Okay, wait, you were about to say something important.
Oh, I think I have actually a very good topic for this week.
I feel like we're almost out of time. I was just kidding.
I mean, we could keep talking about
weed magazines? No, go.
No.
What's your topic?
Women who are pregnant and how they feel with their partners, but I don't know. It's fine.
What percentage of our audience do you think is pregnant?
A lot.
Most
of them. Almost everybody that's female.
Everybody who listens to this podcast is pregnant.
Yeah.
I just want to send out a big fat congratulations to all of our listeners out there. You still haven't told me what you want to talk about.
Oh, this is the question. How long do you parent your children for?
Did you just write that down?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think I've said before that it's so much easier being a parent of a 3-year-old than it is being a parent of a 20-year-old or being the parent of a teenager. I watched, I have 2 adopted twin stepsisters, and I watched my dad as like a grown-ass man, me as a grown-ass man who was married and had kids. I watched my dad have to be a dad again to teenagers with the girls, and I was like, oh my God, bless his sweet... My dad, literally, this is not an exaggeration, when his wife, my dad's wife, this is not my mom, this is the one my dad married, when his wife would be fighting with her twin teenage daughters, my dad would go hide in the garage by himself. But no, to answer your question, when is it appropriate to stop parenting? I don't know. I don't. My parents never really parented, but I still call your mom when I need a mom to talk to.
Well, that's what there's a difference between like parenting and crossing boundaries. So with my parents, I really welcome them parenting me, even at the age of 40. If my mom can give me advice or tell me I'm doing something right or wrong and it's constructive, I listen and I appreciate. Then there's a difference, though, between like crossing boundaries where it's like you can't tell me what to do anymore because I'm a grown woman. And I'm just wondering, like, so when I was 22, I moved to New York.
Yeah.
And I was a bartender, right?
Yeah.
And after about a year of like playing and bartending and like rolling in cash and just having fun, my mom was like, okay, you're done. Like,
Candice once took her bra off for a patron at the bar for a $100 bill. Can I tell that story?
oh my God, I did do that. And that was a good bra too. I kind of wish I never did it. What a weirdo I was. Desperate for attention.
When you first told me that story, when we first met, when you were like 27, when you were 27, I was 24, all these thoughts went through my head. One was like, what a loser.
Thanks.
Well, like, because you were like...
Says the man who ate cat food.
I did eat cat food.
Yeah.
And then, not to be judgmental, but you said it to me in such a way, and then part of me just like disliked you for being like that. And then part of me was like, thought that was the most endearing thing ever. Okay, continue.
Okay. So at 22 years old, I'm out of the house, I'm making my own money, I'm paying my rent, doing whatever. My mom was like, you're done. Like, you need to go back to school or you need to get a real job.
Can you do it in a South African accent?
No.
Please.
I can't do it unless
you
I'm
do it
surrounded.
So well.
No. And so I don't know if I'm just different than other people, but I sort of respected her for saying that, for putting her foot down, no matter, even though my age was, most people would be like, you don't have to listen to your parents at 22. But my parents had always been good to me. They always did the right thing, whether like not the little stupid shit that parents do that piss you off, but like they always supported education for me. They always supported extracurricular activities. They always took us on the family vacation. They took us on vacation with them. There was no such thing as like my parents going off on holiday. It was like all of us together all the time.
You still go on vacation with your parents.
Right. And so my mom saying, that's it, you're done. I was like, oh, okay. Like my mom says so, then I have to listen to her. And I still to this day, like if it's a reasonable request or demand from my mom, okay, you know, you're my mom, I get it. You put my interests first. Why do you think, did nobody stop you from running away at 15? Because if I even packed a suitcase at 15, I would have been like, I wouldn't have known what hit me. It just wasn't okay to do stuff like that. Like basically the question is, did you think at 15 you were old enough and didn't need any guidance from your parents anymore and said, fuck them?
Yeah, I mean, my how I would describe my parents, and look, like my parents, they weren't bad people. I think
No,
they
I'm
were.
not trying to get you.
I
I
know.
want to understand
I
the
just need
difference between.
to the audience. I feel like I need to give this
Okay.
context. I just would describe my parents' parenting style as like non-existent. They always provided for us. They're always loving-ish. They weren't bad people. They're good people, but they were never active parents. They never guided us. They never. I don't think my parents asked once if we did our homework. They never cooked dinner. It was that kind of thing. So no, I think that like, and I've thought about this recently, like in the last couple of years, but it wasn't just that my parents didn't stop me when I ran away from home. And to qualify this, I literally ran away from home. Like those people you see in the cartoons where they have the stick with the red handkerchief and all their clothes in it. That was me. It wasn't a stick, it was a backpack. I like left my house on a school night at 9:00 at night and just walked out of the house and walked down the street. It was like 20-minute walk to my friend's house. That was it. I never went back to my parents' house to this day. And no, not only did they not stop me, but I remember they never, at least I wasn't aware of them making an effort to try to find me. I think like a few days later, I got called into the guidance counselor at school and they were like, your parents called and we've been informed there's some issues at home. We just want to make sure something. And I was like, everything's fine. And that was it. And nothing else, like nothing. I think when I used to go home to steal food out of the closet, like they told my sister to tell me to stop doing that or something. And then the next time I remember engaging with my parents, God, I haven't revisited this in a while. The next time I remember engaging with my parents was maybe 6 or 8 months later when I actually moved away from Connecticut, moved to Virginia, 800 miles away. And I needed my parents to kind of like give me up. Like they had to surrender themselves legally as my guardians. So my big brother could adopt me legally so I could go to school. Because my parents weren't residents of Virginia. My big brother was. I had to have a legal guardian in the state in order for me to go back to high school. I wanted to go back to high school. So my he was younger, his 18-year-old brother adopted me so I could enroll in public school in Virginia. Yeah, that was kind of it. And then I remember calling my dad to tell him that I was having a kid when I was 16. God, imagine being a parent and getting that phone call.
I'm shaking my head no because it's just, it's obviously we've talked about how like we're different culturally, how we grew up and everything. And I don't know if it's a Jewish thing or a South African thing where it's very much like you're very tight. And as much as I've like disrespected my parents, told them to fuck off, do whatever, like we still have a relationship because it's so, you just don't, I could never do that to my parents. I could never, the guilt, if my mom ever said, I'm cutting you off, I don't want you, you either play my way or we don't have a relationship, I would be scared shitless. I'd be like, I can't not have my family in my life. So I guess the thing is like, is it the parents or is it the kid?
I don't know. I mean, I can tell you.
Is there such a thing as overparenting or being over or like demanding too much from your child? I don't mean like they never said you have to get straight A's or this. It's more like...
Right, not helicopter parents. It's
yeah.
like how involved you be in another person's life when that person is your child. I don't know, but I can tell you this, for whatever it's worth. this is, after now as a mature adult, I can look back and say, like, that is the exact reason why, like, all I ever wanted was a relationship. Like, I was never a single, like, player fuckboy in New York City. Like, I never liked dating. Like, I would go out with a girl no matter how beautiful she was or cool she was or anything it might be. If I didn't think that I could have a relationship with her and make her my wife and have a family with her, I wouldn't date her. I'd break up with her immediately. And that was tough. This is why I married you after meeting you for 20 days. Is because, like, that's all I've ever been in a rush to do, is to fill that void that I think I probably had my whole life. And this is part of the reason why, like, why I get so excited when I found out I was having a nephew. I said that in the vlog, but I recently had a nephew, and I don't have any nieces or nephews, and it's so exciting for me because I think family is all I've ever wanted. And now that it's like, there's that, like, there's a new blip on the radar screen in, like, the Casey's family radar. But it's also why, like, yeah, I think I've always yearned for that. That's why the apartment that Candice and I live in, the reason why I was so excited about moving there is because I could picture it like a family there. Remember that when we first looked at it, and I was like, Franny can run around the kitchen counter, which she was doing last night. We've digressed a little, but the answer is, like, I don't know when you stop parenting, maybe never.
I think never.
And I've never had that as far back as I go. I remember my dad once, when he found out that I was smoking weed in high school, he, like, sat me down once and told me, like, you know, my loser friend, he smoked weed in high school and never stopped. And he lived in his parents' basement his whole life. Look at him now. And I was shook. I was like, oh, snap. I don't want to be like that guy.
Okay, but can I just say that you've told me that single two-sentence story?
It's the only time that I had a parent my entire adolescence.
And look at the effect it had on you.
It's
the
huge.
only time your dad sat you down and you really felt like he was parenting, even though you were in trouble, you welcomed that discipline, you welcomed that connection. And, like, that's why people can't feel bad about disciplining their children. Because it's not that you're saying no, it's that you're interacting with them on a level that, like, only a parent and a child can. I can't tell you no the same way that my mom can tell me no. And you can't tell me no the same way you can tell your children no. And I don't know, I just get nervous that people worry about
offending
their children, yeah. Like, I know when my mom's mad at me, it's because she loves me. Of course, the boundaries get blurred, and then when it becomes emotional or personal, I don't like that. But my God, I'd rather have that than her not care about my decisions. Anyway.
I made, for Candice's birthday last year, I made her this, like, 15-minute video of Francine. And it starts, the very first shot of the video, you'll never see it, by the way, audience. It's a very personal video. But it starts with Candice being pregnant. It goes all the way up to Franny when she was 2.5 the morning of Candice's birthday. And we, like, loaded it onto our TV. You, like, plug in a USB stick in the back of the TV and you can play videos. And Francine, it's all she wants to watch lately. This morning, 3 times in a row. That's like 38 minutes of the same video. And I was trying to sort of psychoanalyze this. I'm like, why? And I think it's interesting to her to see both herself and her family from the third person perspective. Like, oh, that's what it looks like. That's what my relationship with mommy's like. It's endearing.
It's so cute. She's like, I want to watch the Franny movie.
That's what she calls it. Over and over and over.
She is so funny.
She said this morning, I heard her talking about her daughter.
Her daughter?
Yeah.
Is that my baby?
No, it's her doll.
Oh.
But I've never heard her refer to her doll as her daughter before.
And then she has the twins. She calls them the twins. So she's like, where are the twins? She has to put them in their double stroller.
We went, there's like a restaurant across the street from our house in New York City, our apartment. And we went there so Candice could get a burger and Franny could get chicken tenders the other night. And it's literally across the street. We're talking 75 feet, like 30 meters for the international audience. Francine had to bring her double Y toy stroller with a baby doll in each seat, and then the entire undercarriage of the baby doll stroller filled up with toys, and then a suitcase filled up with Legos. So it took like 10 minutes to get the food, 10 minutes to eat the food, and 40 minutes to clean up her Legos.
My arms are tired. I can't pick up anymore.
That's what she says. So, honey, what are the next, how many weeks till that thing comes out of you?
8?
No.
Yeah.
I've been thinking 3.
I know, me too. It makes me feel better.
8? There's no way you have 2 more months in you.
No.
She's going to come out early. Shit.
If we were to go by last time, it'll be 6 weeks. That's like more, I don't know.
So what are the next 6 weeks? Candice and I have been struggling because weekends are tough. Like,
It's boring for Casey because all I want to do is lie down in the apartment.
but boring's not right. Boring's not the fair. Boring makes it sound self-serving. It's frustrating because I both empathize with you and I feel for the fact that you can't run around.
This is what you call semantics.
No.
No? You're bored.
I'm not bored. I'm like frustrated.
You're frustrated with how bored you are.
It's not boredom because even like this past weekend, all we did was sit in the hotel room. I was bored this last weekend when we went away.
Yeah.
But I was glad we did it. It was a special experience. And summer's over in 3 weeks, and I just want to take advantage of it and do things and be outside with the baby. But I know Candice can't move, and she needs to be home. And the tough part is that Candice wants me and the baby there, but the baby doesn't want to be there. I sure as shit don't want to be there, but I also don't want to abandon Candice in any capacity. But this is the last weekend Candice can travel, so that means the last weekend she can go see her family, and the last weekend we can visit everybody. So I think maybe this weekend we were thinking about going out to Los Angeles to see the squad. And what? I'll stay there and send your mom home with you Sunday night or something? This sounds great.
Yeah, but how many days are you going to be gone in LA?
Hardly that many. You know, like it wouldn't be more than 1, 2, or 3, or 4, or 5 days. Maybe 6.
No.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I don't know. I'll email today. I'll try to move it up. This
Right.
is a great plan. Things are really coming together.
Yeah.
So excited.
Should we do questions now?
Oh, God, I'm so out of touch with the podcast. I forgot about that. I'm just excited that somehow I convinced you that I need to go to California so I can go surfing on a man-made wave.
Hi, Candice and Casey. My name is Carrie, and I'm a big fan of the podcast. I particularly like how you guys have addressed mental health and communication. I'm starting college right now, and I was lucky enough to get into my top choice, but I'm feeling a lot of imposter syndrome now that I'm here. I was wondering if you guys had any advice regarding times when you felt imposter syndrome and how you were able to boost your self-esteem and motivation, especially when you feel like you haven't had as much experience or opportunities compared to other people. Thank you guys so much.
Imposter syndrome, is that like a new thing?
I'm just going to go ahead and Google it.
I think that back in my day, it was just called like, I don't know anybody yet, and I need to make some friends.
What is imposter syndrome?
According to Wikipedia, imposter syndrome is a psychological pattern in which an individual doubts their accomplishments and has a persistent internalized fear of being exposed as a fraud.
Oh, God.
Oh, God, Candice, you have that.
What?
You have that.
I do?
You suffer from severe imposter syndrome.
I think people think I'm a fraud?
You do.
Oh, well, I didn't even know that.
You always come to me and you're like, I'm not successful. This is all just BS with Billy. You doubt your own success and you don't own it.
Yeah, but isn't that just being insecure?
That's what Wikipedia woman just made it very clear.
Well, I mean, if you know, there's that Woody Allen quote that's like, I don't want to be a part of a club that wants.
I don't think Woody Allen is somebody that we. But yeah, I do
we
not
support.
Quote. Yeah, I do not quote.
It is a good quote. I don't want to be a part of
a club that would have me as a member.
That would have me as a member?
Yeah.
Oh, then that is not the quote I'm thinking of. Basically, if you got into that damn school, you belong there.
In which individuals doubt their accomplishments as being persistent internalized fear of being exposed to fraud. Yeah, that's exactly you.
I don't know.
This is why I'm always like, are you kidding me? You're crazy. You're so successful. You're this independent, powerful woman.
I just swallowed.
Who's a mom. See, you're nervous even acknowledging this. Who's a mother, who employs other women, who runs her own company, 2 companies. And when I say these things about you in front of other people, you turn white and you're like, stop, none of that's true. And all that's objective information.
Well, then I don't have any advice for this poor girl because I completely know what she's talking about. You don't believe it's real.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to tell
You're
her.
afraid to take credit for your own successes.
Yeah. Almost like you don't deserve it.
Yeah. That's what it means by fraud.
Shit, she's in trouble.
Why? I think maybe she could take comfort in the fact that you as a successful woman also have the same struggles that she has. She's not unique.
I wonder if it's a female thing.
Oh, God. Unfortunately, I do not suffer from imposters.
No.
What's that thing that I say? I've always been rich. I just haven't always had money. I've always been famous, but nobody else knew about it.
You used to tell me that when you look in the mirror, all you see is like Brad Pitt.
No, I said, you have no idea how good looking I think I am.
Yes, that's what it is. You have no idea how good looking I think I am.
God, that was terrible. We had no advice for that girl, except for
You're not alone?
you're not alone. And not only that, but if you made it into that school and you figured out how to get in there by hook or by crook, own it.
Yeah, I agree.
Hey Candice and Casey, this is Atharva calling all the way from Mumbai, India, and I just wanted to ask you guys about the sacrifices a couple has to make in order to maintain a relationship. Because right now, me and my girlfriend have been in a long distance relationship for almost 4 years now, and she's studying in US, I'm studying in India, and I have plans of going to do my masters in Canada, but she's insisting on staying in the US. So anytime we seem to talk about it, it always comes down to one of us changing our initial plans to be with the other. So how should we go about this? What would you guys have done? Any help would be appreciated. Thanks a lot, guys. Take care. Bye.
God, are we not qualified to answer that question?
No, but I think it's probably coming down to each of them thinking whose life
That
decision
ego.
is more
That's
important.
right.
So someone's going to have
Can
to
we just
give.
can we just commend him and his
Yeah.
girlfriend, first of all, 4 years of long distance?
Yeah,
It means that there
amazing.
has to be something there.
Yeah, keep that in mind. That
That's a
4
big
years
deal.
is a big deal.
It's a big deal. But yeah, I think Candice hit that nail on the head. It probably has a lot less to do with logistics and a lot more to do with what's more important, your studying of your master's in Canada or her doing her job or whatever it is she's doing in the States. And if she feels like you are insisting she comes to you, then she feels like she's being marginalized. And if she's insisting that you come to her, it means you're feeling marginalized. So I think seeing through that sort of ego, right? Help me? No?
Yeah, I agree. There's three ways this could go. You go to support her.
She goes
to support you, or you set real goals and real boundaries, and it's like, okay, let's try this for a year. I'm spending 2 weeks a month in America. You're coming the other 2 weeks a month in Canada, or whatever the dates are, and see if you can make it work.
So his question specifically was about sacrifices, and I do think that this dovetails with sacrifices. Mm-hmm. So if you can push ego aside and make it not about ego,
Yeah.
and if she's unwilling to move, then what sacrifices are you willing to make?
Right.
Right?
That's
tough.
That's
That is
really
tough.
hard.
That is a tough situation. Okay, last question here.
Hi, Candice and Casey. My name is Noel. I had a question about finance. How do you put finance aside in a relationship? I met my fiance when I was in college. We loved each other. He works in construction. When I graduated, I got a job as a nurse, and I'm making a lot more money than him, and he's not really doing too well with his construction business. I tried helping him, and it's just very hard. It's very hard to see me succeeding when he's not, and especially thinking about a future together. And it's just making me think differently towards him and question about our relationship now. And we're engaged, so it makes it even harder. So how would you handle that situation? Thanks. Bye.
Well,
I
what
just-
is it? Parenting,
It's kids, money,
kids, money,
and sex.
that you break up over.
There's no easy solution to that, but I can tell you from being the guy in a relationship, we lived in an apartment that Candice bought. I didn't pay for. And it was a constant sort of, it always felt a little bit emasculating for me. I always struggled with it. And now we live in an apartment that I paid for. And it's such a sense of pride. I'm not saying that that's a good thing. It's a sense of pride for me. And I don't know what that's like for Candice. But I can tell you that I've lived on both sides of that fence, is what I'm trying to say. And I think because of sort of societal norms, it's very hard for a man to be with a woman who has more than he does. And as the woman, I think that the more it could be positioned as circumstance, like, you know, you are fortunate to be a nurse, and that's not to marginalize the amount of energy you put into schooling and what it took for you to get there. But he could just be in a dark place right now. I don't know the circumstances, but he could just be in a shitty place right now with this construction company, and he could rebound, and you may struggle in the future. And I think the more you communicate in and around those things, the better it can feel. You know, like, I remember when I had nothing, and like Candice had to use her mom's credit card to pay for a hotel room to sleep in Connecticut because we had nowhere else to stay. And the only way I could make myself feel good about that was to turn to her and be like, someday I'll buy you a house. Someday I'll do this for you. Someday, like, I will change this. And it took 10 years. But in that moment, just that sort of acknowledgement that I know you're pulling more weight right now than I am, but there's an ebb and flow to this. Just acknowledging that made me a little bit more confident, and I'd like to think it made her a little bit more comfortable.
So I think to like just translate that into woman talk, what I would take from Casey's little ditty is, you may be frustrated that you're the bigger earner right now, and if you are frustrated, he can feel it. And if he can feel it, he's going to feel like shit. So
He's going to feel small.
And it's just going to be a fight. So if you can tolerate it and make him feel like, look, I know you're going to get back on your feet, or what can I do to help you? As long as he's not, you don't want it to turn into like, I don't know, where the guy doesn't even try to get a job anymore because he feels like there's no point.
It would end before that, because if he's just made to feel small, he's just going to bail.
That's what yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you're going to have to put on your big girl panties and support your man. Sorry. That's what you have to do. And not fight about it, because you fighting about it or even bringing it up, it's going to make him feel like shit and going to send him down a darker place.
And look, to all the gentlemen out there who support their wives or their families, it's the same thing, in that, you know, you as the breadwinner can never hold that against your spouse.
Oh my God. I mean, I already feel like it took me so long to feel like that apartment was mine too. Yeah.
It took you so long to feel comfortable using my credit card to buy expensive sneakers.
I only do that when you're around and with your permission.
So I'm just joking. Okay, let's end this podcast with a quote that's relevant to that question from one of my favorite people in the world. She passed away a few years ago. Her name was Lillian Vernon. It's spelled just like it sounds. Google her. A fascinating woman who I had the pleasure of knowing. She was the richest woman I'd ever met. And I was very broke, and she was very, 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 very rich. And I asked her once about money, and she said to me in her like amazing, sweet, kind, and totally non-judgmental tone, she was like, sweetheart, let me tell you about money. Money is round. You never have it. But sometimes it rolls to you, and sometimes it rolls away from you. And that stuck with me so much, because it is so true. No one gets to hold on to their money. And there are times where it just slips away from you and it rolls over to someone else. And that's the whole quote. Is that okay? Mm-hmm. That makes sense, right?
A little bit.
No?
I think it means that in the bigger picture that, like, don't make it about the money.
What it meant for me is, like, when I was at my brokest, which was very recently, it was right after I started Beam, I just had the confidence that, like, it's just rolled away from me right now, and I'll figure out how to get it to roll back. And I took that gave me confidence. Yeah? No?
Doesn't really apply to her, but that's still a good line.
Well, it does apply to her, because her boyfriend, her husband, her fiance rather, is in construction, which can be a very lucrative business, but he's struggling right now. Maybe the ball just rolled away from him.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We there? Mm-hmm. Okay, we'll see you next week on Couples Therapy, unless we get in a huge fight. Please like and subscribe. Do you say that on podcasts, or is that a YouTube thing?
Francine said, when I was filming her, she goes, Don't forget to ascribe below. I was like, oh my God.
God, we have to cut back. We can't let her watch any more than 6 or 7 hours of YouTube a day.
Max.
No, subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever else you get your podcasts. A big fat thank you to Anchor, who produces our show. Anchor, by the way, just launched a whole host of apps and tools for anyone to create their own podcast, distribute their own podcast. And it's very exciting what they're putting out there for creators. They're essentially becoming the kind of the YouTube they're doing for podcasting, what YouTube did for video back in the day, where if you've had any inclination of creating your own podcast, all you need is a phone and they can enable it for you. So download Anchor. It's a really great thing, and their CEO is an awesome dude, and they're a small company and they're a startup, and they're kicking some ass. So big fat thank you to Anchor. Download, subscribe to us there. And
hashtag couples therapy if you have any thoughts or hate mail.
Okay, so and hashtag couples therapy. Only Candice checks that, not Casey. I'm too scared. And we'll see you guys next week.